Well, she's radical left. Now she tries to pretend she's not, but she's the most liberal person in the U.S. Senate, acknowledged to be. She's done things that are terrible in terms of the police, in terms of the Second Amendment, in terms of everything else. And she is a big taxer, as Joe is a big taxer. They want to tax $4 trillion. It's going to be the biggest tax increase in history by far. It will triple up records. And they're big taxers. It's just something that won't work. You will see a depression, the likes of which you have never seen. You have to go back to 1929. I guess it doesn't get too much worse than that, and you'll just see that. And frankly, we've had a tremendous market. You and I have talked about that. The stock market. Think of it. We're almost back to where we were, and we're still in the pandemic, which will be going away. As I say, it'll be going away, and they scream, "How can you say that?" I said, because it's going to be going away. But, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and yet we're going to be hitting records. I guess NASDAQ already has many times, like 14 times. And the Dow is, you take a look at the numbers I see for the first time today, it's actually down a few points. I'm shocked, almost shocked to see that. But we've been going up. I think we're up 9,000 points, 54% since March. So somebody made a lot of money. And I hope those 401k people didn't do anything when it got down, when it dipped, because they'll be very unhappy right now. But if they stayed with Trump, they're very rich.
So, this market is trading higher, I guess, on the anticipation that the economy is going to come back in second half or in 2021, as well as, of course, these rock bottom interest rates. Do you have confidence that we are going to see a double-digit growth number in the second half? What does 2021 look like, in your view, from an economic standpoint, Mr. President?
So I think it depends on who wins. I think if he wins, you're going to end up with a disaster, to be honest. I see his plans. The new Green Deal is something that the likes of which nobody can even comprehend. It's like drawn by children. It's drawn by children. It's so ridiculous, okay? You go over point, and they're actually serious about it. I used to think they were playing games. It was politics. I don't even think it's good politics. It's so ridiculous. But they're talking about no fossil fuels, which means basically no energy. You'd have to close down half of the businesses of the country. You have to rebuild cities because too much light gets through the windows, so let's make the windows nice and small. Let's rip down the Empire State Building and replace it with no windows. The whole thing is so preposterous. It's so crazy. And I guess you're talking about $100 trillion, right, to do it, assuming you did it, which will never happen, by the way. But I will tell you, right. No airplanes. Let's not get more than one car. I'm sure the car business would love that. Let's everyone get a car and live by it. The cows, I don't know if they actually put the cows in. They were getting hit very hard by the animal rights groups, but they don't want to have cows. They don't want to have any form of animals. These people are crazy, okay? And this is what we're getting. And it's amazing the way Sleepy Joe buys into it. He buys into it like, oh, great. He doesn't know what he's doing. And now you have a sort of a mad woman, I call her, because she was so angry and such hatred with Justice Kavanaugh. I've never seen anything like it. She was the angriest of the group, and they were all angry. They were all radical left angry people. And they're angry because I beat them. Yeah. They still haven't forgotten. These are seriously ill people. But if you look at her record is a terrible record. And I'll tell you a good poll, because the real poll, we're doing very well on the polls, and they love the suppression polls. This is almost like a replay of 4 years ago. They said I was going to lose every swing state the day before. He will lose every swing state. It will be a very short evening. Right. Except I won every swing state, every single one of them, and most of them pretty easily. You take a look at some of these swing states. I won them easy. And I got 306. Remember, they said the night before the election, there is no way he gets to 270. Yeah, I didn't. I got to 306 in the Electoral College.
Well,
so,
what?
It's crazy. These people are crazy.
It's partly because you focused on jobs and you made campaign promises to people about bringing the economy back, which is exactly what happened after the tax legislation, the deregulation, and your policies around energy. But, Mr. President, yesterday, both Biden and Harris took shots at you saying, look, 40 million people are out of work. He drove this economy into the ground. What do you want to say to them, knowing that before the coronavirus, we were talking about the best economy any of us had seen, or certainly in a generation, but today's numbers do not reflect that, and they've got that to throw on you, which is what they're doing.
Well, they really don't, though, because nobody's buying it. Look, we got hit by the China plague, and we're not going to forget it. We got hit by the China plague. I built the greatest economy in history, greatest job numbers, greatest stock market numbers, greatest economic numbers. Nobody's ever seen it. I was cruising to election. They weren't even going to be a factor. George Washington would have had a hard time winning. You know that. We were cruising. You had to see the numbers. And it wasn't even going to be a factor. And the market was going to go through the roof because he is an overhang. You know, having Joe Biden is a big overhang. Even on the numbers that you put up every day that are so good, there's an overhang because if he got in, the numbers would go down thousands of points if he ever won the election. So it's an overhang because certainly there's a chance that could happen. And that's holding back. That's a headwind. That's holding back the market. As believe it or not, as good as the market's been, it's up 50% since March. As I guess 9,000, I think it's, like 9,000 points.